Hey guys, this is Steve with TronicsFix. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 problems with the Xbox One and Xbox One S game consoles. First things first though, I want to remind all of my subscribers to hit the little bell right next to the subscribe button. That way you'll get notifications every time I put out a video. Now these are the top 5 problems I see here at my business, TronicsFix. We repair lots and lots of game consoles from PS4s, the PS4 Pro and Slim, all the way to the Xbox One and Xbox One S, even some Nintendo Switches already. These are the top problems we see with the Xboxes. The first most common problem by far are disk drive problems. Now the problem we see a lot with these disk drives are usually one of two things. Usually it's a bad laser or there's a mechanical fault within the drive. So a lot of times people will put their disk in, it'll try and read it, you can hear the laser moving around, but it'll just say disk not recognized or to clean your disk or something like that. And that's usually caused by a bad laser. Not always, but a lot of times. Now another problem that some people have is sometimes you'll put the disk in and it either won't go in all the way or it's making, buzzing sounds or mechanical sounds. Something like that, and usually that's caused by a mechanical problem inside the disk drive on the Xbox One and Xbox One S. So that is by far the number one issue we get with these game consoles. I would say that probably 40 to 50% roughly of the Xboxes that we get in have a disk drive issue. Now the second most common problem that we see with the Xboxes is an Xbox that turns on and then turns back off. Now this is normally one of two problems, and the first one being that the power brick that is supplied with your Xbox One is faulty or it's not plugged in correctly or something like that. The second thing is that on the motherboard, this chip right here, also known as the Southbridge chip, sometimes the solder connections between the chip and the motherboard are faulty and or the chip itself is bad. And that's one thing that can cause your power brick to show the white light, then go back to orange, or sometimes it blinks between the two, or something like that. Another thing that happens is sometimes there's an issue over here on the power supply rail, and sometimes one of these components can cause a problem or be burnt out or be faulty, and sometimes that can cause a similar problem. So those are the most common causes of the Xbox One to not turn on. Now for this specific problem, it's different with the Xbox One S, as the power supply is internal and there's not nearly as many Xbox One S's that have this kind of problem. So this one is specific to the original Xbox One. Now the third most common problem we see with both the Xbox One and Xbox One S, we actually are probably seeing a little bit more with the Xbox One S, is HDMI port problems. Now the HDMI port on both of these consoles is the only way to get a signal out to the TV, and so it's very used and a lot of people abuse it. We haven't seen these ports to really be a problem with like weakness or anything. They seem to be built pretty well, although sometimes I do have questions with the Xbox One S. We are seeing quite a few of those, and it is a fairly young console, so I'm not sure whether there's some sort of issue with the design, or it could be just because it sits up above the motherboard so far, and when you push it in, sometimes that may be putting too much pressure on it. I don't really know why, but we have seen quite a few. So the HDMI ports would be the third most common problem we see with the Xbox One and Xbox One S consoles. Now on to number 4. The fourth most common problem we see is with the hard drive on the Xbox One and Xbox One S. So for whatever reason, the hard drives on these seem to be a little bit more prone to failure than say the PS4 and their hard drives. I'm not sure why, it just seems to be the case. Sometimes it's a mechanical problem with the drive itself. There also seems to be a problem sometimes with the software on it, the operating system. That's why sometimes you'll get error code E101 or 102 or 203. Similar codes like that are usually caused by a software problem on the hard drive. And sometimes that's fixable and sometimes that's not fixable and the hard drive just needs to be replaced. And the number 5 most common problem we see with the Xbox One and Xbox One S consoles is liquid damage. The problem with these consoles is that they're open on the top. So this is where the fan exhausts the hot air, but unfortunately that's also where liquid can get down into the Xbox One and Xbox One S. So that's the S. The Xbox One, the original, also had a similar problem. This was open on the top, so anytime liquid is spilled onto the top, it just drips right down onto the fan, onto the motherboard, and that can be a real problem. This is a motherboard that has had that problem. There's liquid all over it, and unfortunately these motherboards are so large that it's very difficult to ever get them completely clean or fix all the problems if there is liquid damage, because any of these components on the motherboard could be bad. And many times it's just really hard and really time consuming to trace down exactly where the problem is. So the fifth most common cause, once again, of the Xbox One and Xbox One S consoles is liquid damage. So thanks for watching our top 5 problems with the Xbox One game console. I hope this helps you figure out what's going on with yours. If you still can't figure it out, please leave a comment in the comment section below. I answer as many as I can when I have time. And if you still can't figure it out, always feel free to contact us at TronicsFix.com. We fix tons of these consoles and we'd be more than happy to fix yours. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't. Also make sure and hit the bell so you're notified when we put out any new videos. And I hope you guys have a great day.